My name's Rob Hoblin, one of the founders of Leaving the Police, along with Mark Corder. And this is going to be our inaugural interview for Leaving the Police, where we will be speaking with a man called Tom Wheelhouse. And Tom has worked with the Metropolitan Police for 4 years and left a few years ago. And he will now tell you all about his experiences of leaving the police. And I asked him a few more questions to find out what's happened since he left.
Found myself kind of all of a sudden back in the corporate redeployment pool and without much of a say in where I was going to go, other than you've got a few weeks to find yourself a job, otherwise you go into whatever's top of the list, which I think was Tower Hamlets or somewhere. And given that I lived in Kingston at the time and had never really been to East London, didn't really fancy it very much. But yeah, that was kind of the first frustrating step. Then I was quite lucky. I had a lot of friends who were on the TSG. So I went there. I went and did an attachment. Went well, liked it. So I went there for a couple of years, doing obviously broader stuff, rapid entry, football, demos, surveillance, and all kinds of other stuff. So, really interesting stuff.
Lots of operational stuff. I won't go too far into it. I'll just kind of praise you what you've just told me. I noticed that I didn't have the record button going. So 5 years in the Met, lots of different jobs, lots of operational stuff, and good thing for you is you've got some good language skills as well, which they obviously used you for pre-Olympics in 2011. So I was around in police at the time of the Olympics as well. So that's good to know we had some linguists with us on the run up to the whole thing. So having left the police then, Tom, so you left, 3 years ago, you say?
It's coming up to 4, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of leaving, did you have to give your job notice before you left?
Yeah. So I for reasons I haven't got time to go into, I got so frustrated with the way things were that I left halfway through a set of nights. Basically, came in the next day and said, "I've had enough. Here's my resignation." At the time, as far as I remember, 28 days notice, minus. Actually, I think at the time I was probably owed about 27. So,
oh wow!
I think I was owed so many hours and time that, as I recall, I agreed that I would do a couple of weeks worth of it and sort of take the money, and then the rest of it I would do as have back as time. So yeah, it's 28 days, but I didn't do 28 other days. I handed in my notice because I had so many rest days.
Okay, so you're probably going to be unusual in the fact that I know some of the people we're going to be interviewing in the future that you've made in terms of timeline, you've got a very short period of time where you've had that decision about leaving. So one of my follow-up questions was, what information did your employer give you? But they didn't know you were going. What information did your employer give you in terms of being helpful for you to have a new start outside of policing?
Zero.
Okay. That's a shame. It's a shame.
Absolutely zero. I mean, I don't mind saying that one of the things that pushed me over the edge was that the night before, one of our supervisors said, "If you don't like it in the job, you can F off and work in Tesco's."
Right.
So that's probably the closest I got to careers advice, I think. I had an exit interview, but nothing to do with.
Okay, that's interesting.
Why are you leaving? Not how can we help you when you do. So.
Yeah. Okay. So bearing that in mind, then, Tom, that's a really interesting point that you had an exit interview. What information would you have liked to have received from the Met in order to assist you in taking the next steps?
I think just some kind of idea of what's out there, what kind of skill set you're taking with you. I know that does exist to some extent for people retiring. But I think, as far as I know, you only get that if you do your 30 years.
Right.
But, so it's that kind of package. How do you do even things like, okay, I only had 5 years worth of pension contributions, or what happens to that?
Yeah.
So it's just the practicalities, really, of this is what's out there and this is what you're walking away with.
Yeah. So financial would have been a crucial one to know financially where you stand in terms of the year's work so far. and a little bit of guidance in terms of what are the next steps and things like, and I know that you do CVs, and we'll make sure we pump that at the very end of the interview as well. But just things like that, what can you do with your skill sets that you've gained, and where would you go with them in terms of job hunting? So, given then, Tom, that you've left policing, what would you say were your top 3 priorities then in those immediate days after kind of walking out the door, you've handed your kit in and all that kind of stuff?
I would say actually, the first one is, it sounds like I'm making a joke of it, but it was sleep. And I don't literally sleeping, but also just kind of decompressing and, catching up on, all that stress and sleep and, and that took me a good month probably, I would say, which I really wasn't expecting, just to really, come off that kind of adrenaline that's been going for so long. And then after that, it was real getting things in order. So doing all that practical stuff, working out where do I stand financially, where am I going to stay in the southeast? Am I going to move somewhere else? Where am I going to work? And then number 3, what do I do now? What's out there? Who do I know? And again, comes back to the point. I started from an absolute standing start, I guess partly of my own creation, but I was absolutely at 0 on everything.
Okay, so that's an interesting the point that you make about what's out there. So asking that question to yourself in those immediate days, what skills do you think you had then, that those 4 years ago, that were transferable to go outside with?
To be perfectly honest with you, I think I reverted back to stuff that I already had before I joined the job. So the language is an example, stuff that I've done whether academically or before in private sector places. So I don't think I really had any idea then of what I brought with me. But now looking back, the fundamental thing I think is talking to people. If I ever say to anyone else who's leaving the job, there's one thing that everyone who's had any kind of career in law enforcement is good at, is talking to people, and that is fundamentally what every other job in every company is about as well. Whether it's sales or customer service or whatever, if you can't build relationships, then you're stuck. And I think everyone can do that from a more important.
I totally agree with you, Tom. It's interesting. It's almost like you've got my questions in front of you now, because my follow-up question is about what advice would you give then to colleagues in a similar position about what skills would they take forward and how would they do that?
I'd say two halves actually to that. I would say part one, before you even think about what are your skills, I would say take a step back and ask yourself what you really want to do.
Right.
Because I see too many people think, well, I've got to do something that's really closely linked to whatever I did in the police, be it finance, firearms or dogs or whatever. So I would say stop and think, is that, you've got the space now to do whatever you want. So what is it that you want to do? And then the second part is in conjunction with that, what skills have you got that would be useful in that industry? And I'm a big believer that a policing skill set is so broad that actually you can turn it to anything. So might as well turn it to something you want to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Tom. And I think those are two really good points that you make there about what is it that you really want to do, as opposed to what do I have to do, which is a different thing. And then I think about what skills have I got then? And the police, as we all know, have given us so many skills that I don't think we recognise that they're transferable. But I like those 2 points that you've made that are really good. I'm just going to change the subject slightly then. What social media skills do you use? Did you use then and do you use now? Tools as opposed to skills. I said skills. What social media tools do you use?
Okay, so then I didn't really use any. I probably did have a Facebook account, but I would have used it minimally because of the job. Since then, now running my business, I use Facebook a lot, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I think I do have a YouTube channel, but I'm not sure how much is on there.
Right.
So yeah, no, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are and our website, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, that has been absolutely crucial to me, really, to be honest, in the last 2 years.
If I was to push you into one, then if I said to you, you can only have one of those now, which one would you have, and why would you have it?
Very difficult, because I use them for different things and different audiences. So I would say at the moment, if I had to choose one where my energies are, it would be LinkedIn.
Right.
Because I think from a policing point of view, I think it's a massive, mostly untapped market. I don't mean that as a business to find clients, partly that, but I mean for individuals to use it for what it's there for. Because I've even seen in the last 2 years, 2 years ago, there was hardly anyone in policing on LinkedIn at any level. And now it's much more common. People are not only on there, but discussing, not operational details, but just discussing policing in general. And it's networking, and it's perfectly part of life. And I think anyone who's leaving the police is almost missing a trick by not being on there, to be honest. So that's probably, going forward, that was the one I would say.
Okay, so LinkedIn. Any advice for somebody leaving the police? Try and get yourself a LinkedIn profile. Like you say, you don't need to go into detail about your policing operations and stuff like that, but it really is about you as opposed to where you've come from. But sell yourself and all those kind of things. Recognizing you know a lot about CVs here, Tom. What does your current CV consist of then, in terms of skills and competencies? Bearing in mind you came away 4 years ago from policing.
The policing part's very much part of it. So I and increasingly I do this when I help other people. I think as long as you can show, a consistent period of work, I don't really think it matters which months you were on the burglary squad and which months you were on the robbery squad. I don't really think that matters. So I would say what mine consists of, and what I would say to other people is, tell me who you are, tell me what you can do. That's what I want to see on a CV. So mine is about me as a person, why I do what I do, how I do it, and what the result of it is. That's trying to simplify something beyond simplification. But and I think if I had one thing to say about CVs, it's that's what it is. It's a shop window for what you can do. It's not a Wikipedia page of everything you've ever done in your life.
Yeah. Now, I like that. I like that shop window thing. It is about selling yourself, and this is what I can do for you as an employer. So I absolutely get where you're coming from with that. Not sure how much job hunting you did, Tom, in terms of when you did leave policing, but what kind of skills and competencies do you think some of these employers outside of policing might be looking for, that police officers have, and police staff as well, have got?
Again, I think you coming back to the breadth of the skill set. I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. So yes, policing gives you a massive broad skill set, but I think you have to recognise that in the outside world, in the private sector, you only really, in any job, are going to be there to do one thing really well. Whereas in the police, certainly if you're a response team frontline officer, then you're being expected to be kind of pretty good at loads of things.
Yeah.
Well, when you go into a private sector company, it doesn't really work like that. So I think everyone's got a core set: communication, attention to detail, analysis, investigative. Whether you are a detective or not, you're still, an investigative approach to things.
Yeah.
And the ability to build relationships and influence people. But I think within that, you have to kind of think, well, which strand is really me? Am I that kind of enforcement investigator, or am I that kind of multi-agency partnership person?
Yeah.
So those are the kind of the touch points that I would say: communication, influencing people, getting things right, because your work is standing up in court, so it has to be right. And just basics like that. You turn up on time, get it done right first time, build relationships with people, and personal integrity.
Yeah. No, I like that, Tom. That's really good. I don't want to give too many secrets away on CV because you need to be sending people your way. So I'm really conscious of that. Don't give all the secrets out during one of these interviews. But what difficulties did you encounter first of all then, Tom? Because I recognise you probably weren't a CV writer when you first left Policing. So what difficulties did you come across in terms of your CV in the early days of job hunting, etc.?
I had no reference points for what it should look like, what it should contain, who the audience was. I probably fell into that classic trap of going on Indeed or Read and being faced with 3,000 pages of nonsense and getting demoralised by it.
Yeah.
So, I had no idea who I was writing for. I had no idea what I was writing, and if it, how to make the two meet. So, that was the challenge, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting, and I kind of know exactly where you're coming from in terms of the Indeeds and all the rest of it. I've been there, and I'm pretty confident my colleague Mark's been there with it as well. I think you give me the answer to my next question right at the very beginning in terms of finance. What guidance did you receive? And I think you said none.
Yeah.
From my memory, and I guess the question is, what advice would you like to have received before leaving in terms of finance?
I think, and again, I think maybe this is something that happens when you retire. I don't know, but it would be about just even the most basic help on doing your homework on your numbers, because I still see now so many people, and I was like this. Well, I'm earning X amount as a PC now, therefore I must earn the same salary to take an amount of money every month.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that when you leave the police, because suddenly you aren't paying 14% pension contributions and deductions. So I had no idea about that. I was completely naive to that, because my experience of finances in the job, where on day probably 2 at Hendon, you get given a load of forms to sign, and you sign them because everyone else does. And suddenly, pensions and head fees and all that kind of stuff. And you don't, and then so you have no idea how to actually manage all that. So just even the most simple level of, putting into, and then when I came to the private sector company, it was kind of the same thing, but suddenly I've got all these options for, well, how much do you want to match into a pension scheme? How much do you want to put into a group bonus scheme or a car allowance? And I was like, well, I don't know, because, I don't know that have any sort of basic financial knowledge. So that would have been great to have that. Someone, whether that's someone to sort of sit down and say to you, well, actually, this is what you're getting.
Yeah.
This is your tax brackets and
just some basic advice about, okay, that's where you were, but this is where you're going to be, and this is, this is your survival kind of income need, and this is kind of nice to have income, and this is your kind of Rolls Royce income. But unless somebody sits with you and explains all that and budgeting and all that side of it, then, like you say, you kind of really are scratching your head thinking, now where do I go?
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of us have been there, believe it or not. Just looking at the next one here. I'll go back to skills here again, Tom, about the skills that you currently have that will assist you in any potential new job interview. Not suggesting that you're going to go for a job, but just if you were going for a job now, like 4 years later, what skills do you now have that you could take to any potential job interview should you want to do one?
I think again, I would say it's a mixture of what I would call skills and what I would call almost personal attributes. So I think on the personal side of it, it's that knowledge that actually, if something doesn't work out, move on and do something else. Which I never really thought about before, which I think is something you learn in the job. That sort of self-confidence of actually I'll be all right. Put some changeable scenario in front of me and I'll work it out. I'll deal with it. So there's that side on the kind of self-belief. But personally, in terms of what I've done since, skills-wise, I've done a lot of commercial skills, so all the way through from based things. I've done bid writing, I've done business development in the kind of pure sense of going out and selling, I guess. And then running a business, having for the last 2 years been running my own business, so all the all the vagaries that come with being a director of a company and all your obligations, and and I think with that, the main skill that's come is the ability to go and say to people, this is what I do, this is what I'm about, this is what I can do. Whether that's selling myself in a potential job interview, like you said, or selling my, my business, as it were. So I think it's that combination of self-belief, but also knowing sort of how to pitch yourself and how to operate in a commercial setting.
Okay, lots of stuff there, Tom. I mean, just in terms of some of those skills that you're talking about, did you have to do any training to go and do that, or did you do any self-training? Did you go any courses? Again, I'm just thinking about other people might want to follow the path that you've gone down. I mean, what kind of other developmental stuff did you do post-policing?
Yeah, no, good point. It's a bit of both, actually. Again, it's I did go on formal sales courses, sales methodology, account management methodologies, sales funnel methodologies, things like that, because that was probably my weakest part, because I hadn't really done much pure commercial stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then self-development wise, I did a lot of, although I hadn't done the formal certifications, I did a lot of my own research or learning, or sort of shadowing other people to learn about things like project management and procurement and things like that, which was a case of just kind of a bit of in the deep end, hands-on learning. So yeah, I was lucky that I went to a company where they were up for putting me through professional courses and things. Which was really good. But at the same time, I went and did a lot of reading and learning of my own and learning from other people. So yeah, and I think again that you said about other people following that kind of path. I think again it's out there, go and try and be a sort of a sponge and learn as much as you can.
Yeah. Absorb as much as you can. That's good. I like that, Tom. Some really good stuff there, and some really good kind of tips for other people to kind of think about as well. I think we may have covered this. It's worth just kind of emphasising again that leaving the police is a daunting prospect. Whether you've done 2 years, whether you've done 32 years, you've got that safety and security of the wage and the camaraderie of the company that you keep in your team every day, day in, day out. And all of a sudden, you're on your own for a while. Might have a family with you, but what do you think has been the most daunting thing, or was the most daunting thing at the very beginning? Even for that minute you made a decision, 4 weeks' time, I'm leaving.
I think you hit the nail on the head for one part of it there about the camaraderie in the team. Certainly, the last 2 years I was there was, on the TSG, never went anywhere without 7 other people. So at least, and then all of a sudden you're sitting on your own on a laptop. So that's really difficult because you don't have anyone to sense check your ideas. You don't have anyone to just say, hang on a minute, am I doing this right? Or and you don't have the stress release of the the Mickey taking and the sort of all the friendship side of it. So that was really daunting. And I think from my personal point of view, leaving quite early in my career, it was that sense of, well, what do I do now? Because certainly when up until, to be honest, the last 6 months probably, I envisaged that I would be there for 35 years and try and progress sort of within the job. So suddenly then to have that, think, okay, we'll start again. Now what am I going to do for the rest of my life? It's a massively daunting thing because it's complete, even without any kind of idea. It's a complete blank page, which is a great opportunity, but at the time was kind of terrifying in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Interested in leading on to the team side of it then, Tom. What engagement do you have with maybe guys and girls that were in your team, that's maybe still in the job, or maybe others that have left since? What engagement do you have with anybody from the police world?
A bit of a mix. So I think you naturally, even if you move from one unit to another, you naturally become kind of old news quite quickly, and you're not still part of it really. But on an individual basis, I still see quite a lot of people socially, which is great. And actually, since I've been doing the stuff I'm doing, I've almost developed a new network of people who are either serving or ex-officers with similar interests, or have gone on to do other things in the outside world. So I think that that network never leaves you. You have to, it becomes increasingly difficult because as you try and get a reunion together of more than about 3 people, and it's impossible logistically.
Yeah.
But no, that network does still exist. And again, like we talked about LinkedIn, it's a great way of contact with people that realistically it's very difficult to see in person more than a couple of times a year. But there is definitely a kind of an ex-policing network out there, I think. So that's really good.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. And that's one of the reasons, as you know, in conversations previous to this interview, that's why Mark and I formed Leaving the Police. As not just a case of trying to find jobs for people, trying to help people, but actually it's about building a new network of ex-policing staff. Now, whether they're uniformed cops or whether they're civilian staff doesn't matter. But that's the thing we're looking at. And I guess for me, the question is back to you, Tom: is what would you like to see in terms of some kind of engagement with former colleagues that have maybe left as well, other than LinkedIn and Facebook, which I know you use anyway?
Yeah, I think. I think you're always going to obviously get people who've got their own kind of networks of who knows who, and that's just part of life. But I think it would be great for there to be a bit more of a connection between who I'm trying to say. So rather than it be kind of you're in and you're out and two separate groups that never quite meet, it would be good if there was much kind of lowering of the barriers between someone who's approaching retirement, let's say, or looking to leave, just to be able to go out there and have a sort of honest conversation and say, well, what is out there for my skill set? Yeah, maybe I'm looking to leave next year. What is out there? Rather than at the moment, it feels a lot of the time like it's kind of too much sort of this weird secrecy where until you're out, well, I'll tell you what, you leave and then we'll kind of tell you what's out here, which just doesn't work for that kind of person, because companies out there don't really know how much good talent there is available to them, or going to become available to them. So they don't know, to prepare for that, to look for that, to recruit maybe. But then individuals leaving don't know what's out there either, and that's where you kind of get this gap, a skills gap. Well, no, it's not a skills gap, an awareness gap.
Awareness gap, yeah. Sure. I like your phrase there, Tom, about lowering the barriers between being in and being out. And I must admit, that's the concept of Leaving the Police, is that everybody joins, whether you're in or whether you're out, and you don't get ostracized if you say, I'm leaving in a year, or I'm thinking about leaving in 5 years even, as long as you've got a plan. Leaving the Police, the idea is to join up as one big family, whether you're in or whether you're out, and then kind of take it forward that way. So I'm really interested. I like that answer about lowering the barrier, and it's an interesting kind of analogy to say that there is possibly a barrier in some organisations. I don't know whether there is or whether there isn't. Here's a good one for you, Tom. So if you were sitting in front of me today on the last stage of an interview process for a new job, and I said to you, what is your unique selling point then, Tom? What would you tell me?
I've no idea what the job is I'm going for, but I would say that for someone of my age and career stage, I'm bringing a pretty unique package of academics, formal and vocational training, personal skills and experience that basically mean that whatever this job is we're talking about, I'll be able to adapt to it and thrive in it because I've got a history of doing that before, and I know that if there's something there that I don't know, then I know that I've got the ability to learn it quickly and apply it, and that's all skills that I can evidence from things I've done in the police and otherwise.
Excellent. I would sum that up as self-confident and flexible. How's that?
Yeah, basically, which I think actually everyone in the job is, with a little bit of,
I agree with you. What advice would you give then, Tom, to somebody that's going to be treading the same path that you have trodden?
I think do your homework first up. So whether that's, like I said, about the financial stuff, work out, and you said it, what does survival look like? What does comfort look like? And what does 3 holidays a year look like? be open-minded to what's out there. So don't think just because you're an ex-cop you have to be wrong on these things. You have to work for, I don't know, railways or in the security industry. So be open-minded, work out what you really want, and then once you've kind of got an idea of that, go after it. If you knew who the number one burglary nominal was in your borough, you'd go after them. You can find them. So if you know what you want in the outside world, then take the same approach to it. Go out and find it, learn what you need to learn, research what you need to research, and I think it's that middle ground between. It's not easy, but it's definitely doable. So with the application and a bit of trial and error, a bit of work, then absolutely it can be done.
Again, Tom, I love that phrase. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy for anybody, whether you're joining the police or leaving the police. And at the end of the day, like you say, it doesn't come on a golden plate and say, there you go, there's your next job with your 50 grand a year or whatever. At the end of the day, you've got to do some work yourself. You've mentioned quite a few challenges there, Tom, over the period of this interview. I mean, what or who has helped you overcome the challenges to get to where you are now then?
I lent on my own kind of network in terms of friends and family for ideas about what to do and things like that. I did go and sort of do some investment of both time and money in myself when I left, which was a bit of coaching, that kind of thing. Nothing that was remotely specific to policing. So to be honest, I probably spent 90% of the time explaining acronyms and things, but it worked because it was a sounding board for someone else to say, oh, well, actually, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And I think for a while after you leave, you are kind of a little bit blind to what's out there because you're so used to what you've been doing. I think that's the first thing I say. Lean on makes it sound negative, but use the relationships that you've got, and also don't realise that at some point you probably will have to. Investing in sort of yourself and that kind of is a good thing. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's at some point everyone in every industry I think has to do that. So
no, I agree with you. Okay, then, Tom, we're near the end of this interview, and at the end of it, you wouldn't believe it, we're nearly 40 minutes now. Wow. Okay. Bearing in mind that you left policing, 4 years ago, and you are where you are now, and we know that you do CV writing, and you're going to be helping us with leaving the police and that. What would you like to see on a website such as Leaving the Police then?
I think it's almost a 50-50 of confidence building and practicality, if that makes sense. So I think yes, like as we've talked about, I think there's massive scope there for people to some actual advice. This is what's out there, whether it's financial, whether it's pensions, whether it's CVs. Practical, this is what you can do, and this is how you do it. But my experience of it is a massive part of it is also, look, you can do it. Let's talk, sit down and talk you through what's out there and just show you that actually, some of the day that people in the outside world don't all have sort of 3 heads and superpowers. They're just people as well. And you can do it. I think so. I think, if you can find that balance between the kind of practicality and the reassurance, I guess.
I like that. Some really good stuff there. One of my final ones then. Bear in mind you're on the road you're on a new path. You're on a new road to success. What does success actually look like for you, and how do you know when you've got it?
Okay. So I've got 2 things really, which are kind of intertwined. So one's personal, which is I wouldn't have sort of agonised over leaving the police if it wasn't important. So I left to have a better work-life balance and to have a sort of more sustainable lifestyle. So obviously I want to be successful in the simplest sense like that, to have not really money motivated, but to have enough to be comfortable. And then the second part of that, which is also why I do what I do, is that I want to see people in the emergency services, good people, not going around telling themselves they're rubbish and they can't do anything.
Yeah.
And that was what set it all off for me. Was I was at a wedding once, and one of my friends said to me, "Oh yeah, I'm utterly miserable, and I'd love to do something else, but don't have any skills, and I can't do anything else."
Yeah.
And I thought, that's ridiculous. And I totally get why people say that, but that's nonsense. And I don't want people to, because I was in that position, and I wish I had someone to tell me, "Hang on a minute, that's nonsense." So that's kind of why I do it. So success for me would look like people being valued, I guess, in the most simply cheesy line possible.
I like that, Tom. That again shows to me you're a people person. It's not just about you, because a lot of people might say, "I want my Rolls Royce and my big house and my mansion and all that." And that's not where you're coming from at all. And it is about helping others to help themselves, which I think a lot of us get from policing anyway, about how we treat people and how we'd like to be treated. So some really good stuff there, Tom. Recognising you're going to be working with Mark and I in the future, this part of the last part of the interviews, it's for you to sell what it is that you do, because we know that you do CV writing. So who do you do it for? What can you bring to somebody in terms of CV writing? Just as if you're selling to everybody that's trying to leave policing or fire servers or whatever it might be. Tell us what you do and how you do it.
Okay, so 2 years ago I started my own business to basically provide what wasn't there for me, which is professional standard of CV writing / coaching to people leaving the emergency services, provided by people who actually have been there and done it and understand the neat requirements of it all. Because otherwise, do you really want to spend all your time explaining to somebody what all the acronyms mean and all that kind of stuff? Well, the point is, I've been there and done it, so I get that. I know how the job works. I know what you've done. I know the skills that it takes, so it doesn't get lost in translation. And that really is, weirdly, given that I've got a languages background originally, I think translation is an easy word to use to describe what I do. So I take what people do and what they can do and translate it into a way that presents them with enough impact and influence to go and get what they want to get, whether that's job-wise or career change, whatever. Because I think it's that combination of been there and done it myself and got the got the t-shirt, but now something like the other side, and also I've done it with dozens, probably over 100 people from all other forces, ranks, roles, whatever. So and that's what I do. So I'll take what it's difficult to be too exact about it because it depends on the individual. So
I was going to ask you one question on that, Tom, and it's an observation from me in my kind of life post-policing. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but one CV doesn't fit all jobs that you're going for. Am I right? What about that? Right in saying that?
100%. You might have a sort of 60-70% core of what you've done that will stay the same because it's in the past, it's not going to change. But how you present that should be absolutely individual to the opportunity, because you're fundamentally, again, it's that shop window we said. So you are saying that person, you're trying to say to that person, look, here's what I am, who I am, here's what I've done, and here's why it can make me the best possible person to work for your company. Every company's different, they have different goals, different sectors. So you need to be, again, translating what you've done, what you've got the potential to do into a language and a format that they're going to say, yes, you are the best person. And I think the difficulty comes in career changing, certainly from something like the police. You have to be the one who proactively goes and does that for them. We said it just now, you can't expect people to come and to go out and think, actually, do you know what? An ex-police officer would be really good for this job. Let's go and find one. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to go out there and say, look, this is my background, this is my transferable skill set, this is what I'm like as a person, and this is why I'm the best person for the job. So again, it's being proactive, which everyone in the police knows how to do. Not anymore, but knows how to do. In their professional life, and it's the same thing.
That's great, Tom. I mean, at the end of the day, point for that is that if anybody thinks that I've got my CV, I don't need Tom to help me anymore. I actually think, yes, you do, because it needs to be tweaked. A new job description for whatever job you're going for.
Yeah, even if I'm then, as you say, even if I'm then just the sounding board who looks at it and says, okay, well, it's 90% pretty good, but actually, I think, maybe this, maybe that, tweak this. Is that really what you mean? It comes across as this. That, again, it's just having that someone else to look at it and go, okay, well, it comes across to me as X, but you're going for Y. So,
Okay. Tom, you are the first interviewee. You're going to be probably seen by everybody else that joins LTP, so they'll know all about CV. They'll know to come to us, come to you, be able to kind of help lots of other cops and civilian staff in the policing world, and as you mentioned, emergency services staff as well. Because we're not just going to fit ourselves to just people that have been in the police. If it gets wider and bigger, then so be it, and that'll be great stuff.